friends, my name is Victoria and I have something very important to say. Surely that sounds fine. Okay, so at exactly the time I'm filming this, and hopefully around the time I'm posting this, it has been 1 year since I developed an insanely unhealthy obsession with the Disney Channel original movie High School Musical 2. Now, I have wholeheartedly believed that it's like the best film in the franchise for my entire life, but I'd like to think that's fairly common knowledge, so it's not really what I'm here to talk about today. 24 Frames of Nick has made like a gazillion incredible videos on this movie and other High School Musical movies already, so if you're interested in them, I'll link them below. But there's one thing that I don't think has been like fully covered yet, and it's very important to me, so it's what I'm gonna focus on today. Alright, here's the video. Here's my big idea. High School Musical 2 is 1,000 times better when you watch it as if Ryan Evans is the main character, and that is the way it was meant to be watched. Also, just as a disclaimer before we get into this, if it isn't already incredibly obvious, I'm not a professional YouTuber, so a lot of the clips I'm going to be using today are not of the highest quality, and that's because I took them from where I found them on the internet. Okay, before we get into the actual film, I'd like to talk very briefly about Lucas Grabeel, who portrays Ryan in these movies, because I think he's a hecking incredible actor and he's terribly underappreciated. There is a little thing called The Road to High School Musical 2, which is a mini-series that Disney aired leading up to the premiere of the film. And I'm going to link it below because I think it's like just a fun watch, and B, it's a good supplemental piece for this thingy. But anyways, there's a clip in that series where basically the whole cast agrees that Lucas, who plays Ryan, was the most serious actor on set.
The most serious, I think, is Lucas.
Lucas. They're saying Lucas, huh?
He gets really deep in thought, like his whole background of what happened as him as a child, you know, like why he's in Sharpay's shadow.
Now, this doesn't mean that he was the best actor on set or anything, because I think everyone did a really great job, but it does show that he really cared about this stuff and he really cared about Ryan, and I think that's incredibly obvious when you watch him in these films. It doesn't necessarily support my main idea here, obviously, because I guess I could kind of be biased, but I do think maybe take a moment to appreciate that as you watch this or the movies. Okay. So I don't feel the need to go over the entire plot of this movie, but I can give a quick recap so you can better understand my points as this goes on. So basically, High School Musical 2 follows the Wildcats, but particularly Troy with like a dash of Gabriella, as they enter their summer jobs at the Evans family's country club resort thingamabob. While they're there, Sharpay sets Troy up with a bunch of benefits just so he'll sing with her in their talent show, and this ends up causing him to drift from his friends and his girlfriend, and he gets a lot of heat for it. He eventually feels bad, they all make up, they're friends, whatever. It's cool and fun and fresh, but I think it doesn't reach its full potential when you're watching it from Troy's perspective. Even director and legend and icon Kenny Ortega himself said,
Lucas's character has probably grown more than any character in High School Musical 2.
He has the most substantial character development in this movie, and I think he just has one of the more interesting journeys in general. So if you didn't pay much attention to Ryan the last time you watched, or the last 20 times you watched, I'm going to show you exactly why this is true. From the very beginning of this movie, as in from the opening number, we see Ryan struggle in the shadow of Sharpay. And this is important because it's like an establishing point, and we're going to want to compare this vibe of his to like its alterations as the movie goes on. So a little later, when referencing the talent show, Sharpay treats Ryan as an afterthought, showing she doesn't view their performance as a group effort. It's kind of always been about her, we know this, but Ryan's left kind of imagining himself receiving the praise and attention that's usually going to his sister. Now after that, we get to actually a really cool part of the film because we establish Sharpay and Ryan's family dynamic. We meet their mother, who Ryan actually has like a really great, wholesome relationship with, but we also meet their dad, which is interesting because their relationship is much different. As a reminder, we're treating Ryan as the main character here, so his father is serving as another challenge and he contributes to his developing story quite a bit. He seems to be kind of maybe disappointed in Ryan. That's not the right word because he's very nice to him, but he's nitpicky towards him too. He's constantly telling him to make adjustments to himself and whatnot, and he honestly seems to prefer Troy. Now, if a lot of the rumors about Ryan's character were canon, then we'd maybe get a bit more of an explanation here, which Benjamin Austin goes over in a really cool article that I'm gonna link because you might like it. But all we really know is that after Mr. Evans meets Troy, he gives him a lot more attention, and Ryan isn't too happy about it. He's slowly starting to realize he's not being treated right. Just keep that in mind. Alright, so the next scene I'm going to talk about is kind of crucial, but it's only in the extended edition of the film. So that's the version that's on Disney Plus, and it's probably somewhere on YouTube, but if you haven't seen it, basically in it, Sharpay and Ryan do a little performance for Troy that they want to use in their talent show. But what Ryan doesn't know is that Sharpay's goal in giving this performance is to essentially replace him with Troy. Ryan is rather exaggeratedly upset about this, and it ends with him taking off. And he later confronts Sharpay about it, and she kinda brushes it off. She tells him she'll maybe give him a role in the next show, and she's not worried about it because her priority is herself. So he hits her with this line.
Don't strain yourself, Slick.
Now from this moment on, we are going to see change. We are looking at character development dead in the eyes, and it is better than anything Troy Bolton could give you in the entirety of this film. Is that too far, maybe? Now, next up is obviously the greatest scene in the entire trilogy. Gabriella and Taylor see Ryan moping around, and they invite him to their staff baseball game. He then agrees to direct their talent show performance because he has nothing else to do. He kind of hates his sister, and they're the only people being nice to him right now. Then he has an insanely beautiful musical number on the field with Chad, and we learn that he is not only a phenomenal dancer, but is also a baseball prodigy. So afterwards, we see that Ryan and Gabriella have developed a kind of nice friendship. He kind of sadly tells her that he's aware of his position in Sharpay's shadow, but she reassures him that her and all of the Wildcats think he's a great guy on his own. And this next clip is not going to be the best quality, but I think it's cute, so you should see it.
Hey, I know everyone thinks that I'm Sharpay's poodle, but I really think that
They're thinking that? They're not thinking that today.
We then get a look into their talent show rehearsals, and do you know what we see? We see Ryan happy, genuinely happy, having fun with the Wildcats, and it's perfect. He quite frankly tells Sharpay that he doesn't give a heck what she's up to anymore, and it is character development. I think it's very obvious that the lighting has changed in my household. That's because I decided to film this during sunset. Anyways, fast forward to the day of the show, and Troy has bailed on Sharpay for reasons we don't currently care about, and she goes crawling back to Ryan expecting him to be ready to go. But he, however, kind of leaves her in the dust, and he's quite sassy about it. He tells her, and I quote, "You've always wanted the spotlight, now you've got it." Now this is a very cool scene because we all know this is not a move he would have been capable of making when this movie first started. So it's character development, and it's genuinely very cool to watch. Sharpay is not really left alone though, because this is a Disney Channel movie. Everyone ends up singing together and having a nice time, which kind of defeats the purpose of all the drama that was leading up to it, but it's a cute moment. Then Ryan does some really weird dance moves, and it has nothing to do with my argument, but I would really like you to watch it. So we are now approaching the end of the film, at least in my eyes, but it's actually one of the greatest parts of the movie and maybe one of the strongest pieces of evidence that supports my argument. So basically, it's time to give the grand prize to the winner of this talent show, which is called the Star Dazzle Award. And the guy who runs the place and hands it out, he's getting ready to give it to Sharpay because this whole thing has been rigged from the beginning, but something crazy happens and Sharpay takes it and she gives it to Ryan.
Star Dazzle for this year goes to, of course, our one and only...
My brother, Ryan Evans.
So everyone is cheering for him, the whole dang resort, and his friends give him a big hug, and his dad is proud, and it's what he deserves. So basically, the movie ends with Ryan receiving this coveted award that drove the plot of the entire film, and he's receiving a boatload of praise from all of the people he's been desperately craving validation from. And it's cute, and it's awesome, and it's main character behavior, and I won't be accepting criticism. Well, that's actually that's actually a lie. I would really like criticism because this was my first YouTube video ever, which I'm sure you could tell due to the fact that it was not good. I did have fun making it though, because High School Musical 2 is my favorite movie and YouTube videos are my favorite thing. I just wanted to try something because, like I said, this has been on my mind for a year now, and I wanted to make something in a similar format to my favorite content creators. So I'm not trying to be a YouTuber, but I could talk about anything for hours. So if you think this is something you could watch more of, not necessarily High School Musical related, but things, then let me know what you'd like to see change or what you'd like to see continue, and I'll maybe do more of that. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you agreed. I hope I changed your mind a little. That wraps this up. Thank you for sticking around if you did, and if you liked it, then, you know, give it a like and subscribe. That's what they say. Whatever. Have a good time. Thank you. I'm really about to not post this thing because of how bad I look. That's very funny.